Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got a short little knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Kizer Sheepdog Utility 2. There is a Utility 1 that has like the screw down. This is the quick release version of the knife, which is, in my opinion, completely and totally superior because you can just push that little orange button there and remove the blade. That's how they should all be. Having to, unscrew something is not as convenient. It might be slightly more secure, but in the grand scheme of things, being able to quick release and quick change these utility blades is just better all the way around. This is more expensive than your typical Home Depot, Husky, or Milwaukee, or whatever boring utility knife is out there. So if that's what you're looking for, I would recommend Home Depot and one of those. If you want your utility knife to be a little more interesting and operate with, in this case, something like the button-operated top liner lock, well, this is still inexpensive in the grand, basically the all-encompassing world of quality folding knives. But some people might consider, a little over 40 bucks a little bit, too high to pay for something like this. It really just depends on your perspective. From my perspective, this is amazing because you get basically the quality that is involved with a budget Kizer knife and the convenience and utility that is involved with the replaceable utility blade. So I think that is awesome. This is essentially a perfect version of what they're doing here. Like our end of the industry has a lot of these, and everybody kind of, does their different version, and there's a lot of different good ones, but most of them have, like one little quirk or one little tiny thing that bothers people. This one is essentially perfect. It really just has one little issue, depending on, your perspective on that, but we'll talk about it. Thanks so much to Kizer for sending it in. This is absolutely available. I'll link it down in the description. It does help my channel when you use those links, but that's up to you. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Let's go ahead and measure this guy. By the way, if you were like, I would like that knife a lot more if it had a blade. All the standard versions of the Sheepdog have regular blades, and they have them anywhere from budget all the way up to mega premium. So I will link those down there as well. Overall length of this version is coming in at about 6.85 inches. Your blade length, you can't really call this blade because it's housing. So, I mean, it's it's your standard length of utility blade, but the exposed amount of cutting edge is 2 1/8, which is pretty good. It's a lot of exposed edge there. So let's go ahead and do some size comparisons. Any custom skills you find in this section can be found down in the description under Original Goat and Others. Up against my own Excalibur, you can see it is smaller than even the Mini, but that's fine because there's tons of ergonomic room, and I'll show that off here in just a bit. Up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3, once again shorter, but let's look at the ergonomic lines here. It is very, very similar to the Spyderco Para 3, and I consider the Para 3 to be incredibly ergonomic. It's definitely a benefit with this knife. And then finally, let's put it up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue and the Hogue Deca. How is the action? Well, the action is spectacular. I love this sort of half moon button shape. That button pushes a top liner lock out of the way. You can see it engages back here, so it does engage behind and not underneath like a liner lock. A little more secure there. Very snappy, very easy to manipulate, and most importantly, very convenient. This is the type of knife that a knife enthusiast will buy just because maybe they're a little bit more used to manipulating their EDC knives after kind of venturing into this end of the knife world. You've gotten used to a lock that's very easy to manipulate, and you've gotten used to a properly tuned detent and combination flipper, thumb stud, whatever, right? This type of thing is the type of thing that person will buy when they need the convenience of, replaceable utility blades. And so those people in particular are going to find this, in fact, pretty much anybody is going to find this like stupidly convenient. It takes zero brain power, and it's also incredibly safe. Left-handed people, you can mount it for lefty carry, and fortunately, this is really no different other than having to use your index finger, which is also very, very convenient. I'm not nearly as good with my left hand, but I can do it. Usually I say that there might be a little chance of accidental disengagement because of where you squeeze as a left-handed person. As a right-handed person, there's not really any grip zone. Sorry, I was off camera. There's not really any grip zone where you're naturally going to be landing on that button. As a left-handed person back here, the pad underneath your index finger could cause a little bit of, unintentional pressure there, so watch out for it, but it would take quite a bit. I feel like you'd realize what you were doing before you did it. So slightly different experience for lefties, but all the way around, very safe, very convenient, very snappy, just fantastic. And really the bearing action in this is phenomenal. I mean, I can barely feel that there's bearings in there at all. It's really just awesome. Let's go ahead and do carry profile. Thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. This is slightly, and I mean slightly, contoured. We're going to talk about those, don't worry. Slightly contoured, so really nice. Not really any thicker than the Spyderco Para 3. So as far as your, the amount of object you're carrying in your pocket is really not a whole lot more than the Spyderco Para 3. It's definitely smaller than the PM2. I will point out here that in some situations, because of this down here, like it can, depending on your pockets, right? Not really. I'm wearing sweatpants today, so there's plenty for it to catch on, but it could catch on something like that little button there as you put it in and out of your pocket. I think it's fairly unlikely, but it is worth pointing out that because it is a quick release system and not a screw down system, that in and out of your pocket, if you have other things in there, or if you're using this like say on a job site or something, it could be pushed and the blade could be released. And the worst thing that happens there is that you lose one of these. It's irritating, but I bet you, for the 10 years or so, 12 years that I spent working for my dad and using stuff like this, occasionally I would lose a razor blade, and it's annoying, but it's not really that big of a deal. The amount that it is secure, it takes, to tell you the exact amount of force. So I'm pushing, only there. So it takes quite a bit of deliberate force in order to release that blade. It's not a light tap, and it has to be pretty much specifically on that orange button there. But once it's in there, the blade has no play or any movement at all. So probably extremely unlikely, but still worth mentioning, right? Let's go ahead and weigh it. So we are looking at micarta in this case, and we do have full nested steel liners with a bit of weight reduction. Then you have the steel housing for the utility blade, and then whatever utility blade you put in there. It weighs 2.9 ounces, which in my book is ultra lightweight. Anything under 3 ounces is ultra lightweight, and any additional weight, reduction below that to me is trivial because it's already very, very lightweight, right? So you can judge that how you will. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. I'll get out my tools. As per usual, my tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. The pivot is a T8 and the body screws are T8. The only other screws on this knife really are the thumb stud, which you could remove if you wanted to, I guess. You don't have to, and I don't know why you would. And then even the pocket clip screws are T8. Everything on this is T8. Is there anything else? No, that's it. Oh, we got one screw for, does that hold in the liner there? Yeah, it's got one additional screw up here holding in the liner. That is T8. Super easy to take apart and put back together as long as you have the right tools for the job. You should be good to go. All right, meat and potatoes time. The reason that I love this knife so much, because believe me, there are a lot of folding utility knives that lean more towards the enthusiast end of the industry, right? There are tons of them. Pretty much every company now, especially the Chinese ones, they all have their own, like, whatever their most popular model is, they're like, let's put, utility blade housing on it. And I think it's a good idea. I like that, right? Even if, right, guy who just can't help himself, sweaty Home Depot guy in the comments, you can get a cheaper one at Home Depot. You guys are crazy. Why are you here? Obviously, we know that, right? It's not like Home Depot's a secret place. You got to have a freaking pass to get in. You have to have like knowledge of the wood and the pipes and the electricals. Like you have to have a pass. You have to pass a test to go into Home Depot and even be aware of basic utility knives. No, people who are buying this stuff are well aware. We like this because this is more interesting. It manipulates in a way that's more interesting. We are also aware that the tolerances typically, and if you're not aware, then here you go. Tolerances are going to be better. The overall build quality is going to be, you say better, like a cheap, utility knife obviously is going to be just fine, right? But the way that something like this is made has the tighter tolerances. And basically, once you kind of venture into this part of the knife industry, you get to experience stuff like this that's made, with a little bit higher quality, a little bit more attention to detail, right? And so you start to prefer stuff like this in your knives. So stuff like the $15 Home Depot utility knife is just not as interesting. As all of us probably have at least one of those lying around. It's just not quite as interesting. So this has the exact same ergonomics as the medium-sized Sheepdog, and boy, those ergonomics are awesome. Very similar to the Hinderer Jurassic. Nice palm swell in there. Jimping on this guy back here and all the way through this area. Love that. There's even a little choke-up spot, which I really like on this guy. I think that is awesome. That button push, just really great. Pocket clip, not creating much of an ergonomic hotspot there. Really, it's just it's everything that I love about the Sheepdog is present here, except the blade is different, and it's got, the convenience of an easy swap, utility blade system. It's just, I just really like that. If I don't need a specialized cutting tool, which is essentially all the time, this is going to do it. Now, occasionally I need to cut into something deeper, because anything past here and you're having to shove all the housing through it, which obviously isn't going to work, right? I mean, you can force it, but you're going to end up pulling all the gunk or whatever you're cutting out with this, right? You need to cut into so you have enough exposed edge to like slice in up to here, right? But mainly here, cutting straight down. So, cutting open packaging, cutting open zip, because again, like cut whatever you want with it, unless you're like really, really particular about, how many blades you go through. This is the type of blade that it doesn't really matter if it breaks or it goes dull. Now, something to keep in mind is that you still can't, just as with anything, you cannot just beat on this infinitely and expect it to not eventually take critical damage, right? So you still don't want to treat this like a pry bar because the housing is still dependent on the pivot. Like it's the weakness of any folding knife is that what's holding the blade or the blade itself is still completely and totally reliant on the pivot. So if you are abusing this knife in a way that affects the pivot catastrophically, well, then you're doing damage to your knife, potentially to the point where it becomes inoperable. And this style of knife, being a kind of throw around utility knife, is going to be a knife that people will probably occasionally unintentionally use that way. So it's something you have to be cognizant of. Remember, it's a thin utility blade attached to steel housing, but it's still, steel housing, and you want to use it in a way that doesn't like cause the button to become damaged or inoperable. You still want it, to be usable. So, when I was working for my dad, we had an infinite number of those Stanley box cutters. Now I have an infinite number more because of all the TSA stuff that I buy for your entertainment. And those things really can be kind of tossed around a little bit. And I think that's probably a decent argument, for people saying there's no reason to go with stuff like this. You just buy yourself. It comes down to being aware of what it is that you are using. So while this does have better, overall quality tolerances, it might not be as durable as that typical. I mean, I probably have one right behind me. Yeah. Still though, the ultimate job site, durable utility blade is just always going to be a Stanley because these things can literally just be kind of tossed around. My dad would still get mad at me when I would huck one of these off the roof and it was supposed to land in the yard, but it landed on the on the concrete, and he would say, "Don't do that or I'm going to take it out of your paycheck if it breaks," which is fair. So this is obviously not something that can be thrown around quite as much as that, that Stanley knife there. So you still have to be aware of it. But I think most people, this is going to be purchased primarily by people who enjoy knives on our end of the industry. And most of those people are probably going to be aware of that. But it's worth pointing out anyway. We have no lanyard hole, and who cares? A couple of standoffs. Pocket clip's great. You can attach a lanyard to the pocket clip if you want to because there's a hole right there. Stop pin located in its traditional position with plenty of shouldering. No blade play in either the blade as it's locked in or the housing. There's no lock stick. There's no pivot lash. The action is incredibly smooth, and you have a really nice clicky detent. So what about that stuff there at the back? What about that stuff? What do we have back there? Well, we have tweezers and the little pokey thing. You know, a lot of people say it's a toothpick. I'm not putting anything metal in my mouth. I can get to the tweezers with my fingers. Got to dig at it a little bit, and in some sense I do appreciate that because it means it's that much harder to accidentally fall out. There's a lot holding that in. I mean, it's in there, right? And that's nice, and that's primarily what I'm going to be pulling out of there. If I need the pokey thing, at least on mine, this thing is bent enough in a way, and it came from the factory this way. It is in there so tight. The only way, let me get out this weird little knife I found in the TSA thing. The only way that I can get this thing out of there is to pry this out. God! I can't. I'll break my fingernail before I get that thing out of there. Now, I don't know if they're all bent like this. This is how it came from the factory. Is this right here is creating so much friction in there. I'll try to push it back in with my finger. God, I can't. It's crazy. It's crazy. So this is nice that it's there. If you want it, if yours is like mine, you're going to have to use something else to pry it back out of there, right? And when you do, because once you get it to here, at least on mine, you know, you might send it flying. So that's a little odd. But then again, like right here, me pushing this in here is likely the last time that it will ever come out of there because I doubt I will ever use it, right? So tweezers accessible, other thing not very accessible. I personally don't care. You might. $42 for this. Is it worth it? Absolutely. This is my favorite of this style knife that came out this year, and I think it's one of my favorite ever. Now, you guys are probably, I say this year, I mean 2025. You're probably seeing this video in 2026 because it's pre-recorded, but this was included in my favorite budget knives or favorite knives under $75 for 2025, and I stand by that. This is incredible, though I expect it to be passed by 1,000 other knives in 2026 because everybody is perfecting this style of knife. For right now, in this exact moment, the exact date that this was uploaded, this is my favorite version, and I highly recommend it. So, links in the description for this guy. I meant for this to be a short video. It still ended up being 17 minutes. Gosh darn it. That's going to be it today. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like. So check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.